On this video right here, we're going to be explaining the odd ones of this practice test. We have this pretty large test. It's a 100-point test. It's on solving equations, especially those multi-step equations that have variables on both sides. So we're continuing to progress in Algebra 1. I want to explain the odd ones here. I guess the idea for this class is I'll explain one and then you could do the next one, which is pretty much related to that one. So number one, we have this pretty huge equation that has fractions in it, right? And not only that, they have different denominators. We have a 3 and a 9. So in order to get rid of any fraction, what do? We multiply by the denominator of the fraction we want to get rid of. So let's multiply everything by 9. That way it gets rid of both fractions. So if we multiply by 9, I put the 9 up here. I put the 2 times 9 also, the 3 times 9, and also this fraction 2/9 times 9, everything by 9, okay? Everything by 9. So when I divide 9 on top divided by 3 on the bottom, 9 divided by 3 is 3. So what I have left is 3 times 1 times d. That's just going to be 3d. And then I have 2 times 9, that's 18, and there's a minus sign in front of it. Then we have the equal sign that comes down. And then we have 9 times 3, which is 27. Let me actually write it in blue, 27. And then 9 divided by 9 over here. 9 divided by 9 is 1. That's why it cancels out. And you have a negative 2d left over. So put a minus 2d. So notice that by multiplying by that denominator 9, everything by that denominator 9, all fractions or both fractions get eliminated. Could this have been done a different way? Yes, you could do these many different ways. You could have, if you wanted to, added 2 first, added 2, and you'd have a 5 over here, and you'd have less items to multiply 9 by. But if you want to get rid of the fractions first, go ahead and multiply everything by that denominator 9. And let's continue to solve. We want to get x by itself, or in this case, d by itself on one side. And the problem is d is on both sides of the equal sign. You don't want it on both sides. So which one are we going to get rid of? Okay, if you want to get rid of that minus 2d, let's get rid of it by doing the opposite of minus 2d, which is plus 2d. And what you do to one side, you must do to the other. I'm going to add 2d, obviously, with the 3d. You can't add 2d with 18, because those are not like terms. You're going to add d's with d's. So 3d plus 2d is 5d. So what do I have now? I have 5d minus 18 equals 27. Notice that the equal sign keeps coming down. That's how you stay organized. And now let's get rid of everything except for d. Again, the goal is to get d by itself on one side of the equal sign. So let's get rid of the minus 18 by doing the opposite of minus 18, adding 18, adding 18. What we have left here, this cancels out. What we have left is 5d. The equal sign comes down again. And 27 plus 18 is 45. So for the final step, I have 5 times d equals 45. I need to get rid of that multiplication of 5 by dividing by 5. And what I do to one side, I must do to the other. So the final answer is d equals 9. Now, on the very back side of your final page of this practice test, you have your answers there. We could be checking our answers as we go. Let's jump to number 3. Again, you guys could do number 2. By the way, if you're struggling with it, I'll make another video explaining the even ones. So right now we're doing a video explaining the odd ones. So if you're trying the even ones for homework, which you should be studying this, and you need some help, get on Edmodo or YouTube and watch the video with the even questions. So number 3, this is a huge, huge equation, and we need to definitely simplify it first. That's step 1 on solving an equation, simplify. Now, what do I mean by simplify? It's distributive property and combining like terms. Okay, so let's distribute. We have a minus 5 that we're going to distribute right here. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. And then distribute negative 5 times a negative m. A negative times a negative is a positive. 5 times m is 5m. And of course, we're going to bring down that plus. So I have distributed. After distribution, you're supposed to try to combine like terms. Is there any terms that I could combine out of those 3? Which ones? the negative 15, and the positive 4. And we're just combining this in our heads. You're not actually like doing the opposite. You're just combining it in your head. If you owe somebody $15 and you have $4, you can't completely pay them off, but you could give them the $4 and you still owe 11. Again, still owe 11. So I have the 5m left over that I didn't mess with, and then I have a minus 11 because I still owe 11 when I pay off the $4 that I have. So this is what we call completely simplified on the left side. Now let's simplify the right side. Let's distribute and then combine like terms as well. So I'm going to distribute the 4. 4 times m is 4m. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And I'm simply going to bring down the plus m and the minus 3. So again, it's kind of like I'm ignoring this side right here. I'm just working on this over here, all right? Because I already simplified the left side. So let's continue to combine like terms after doing that distribution. So let's combine the 4m with the m. And what's that when I combine it? 5m. Okay, so let's write 5m. And what is negative 8 minus 3? Negative 11. All right, cool. So that's now completely simplified. Now this is the weird part, guys. Check this out. The equal sign is going to come down right between these two. And what could you tell me about the left side of the equal sign and the right side of the equal sign? They are identical. They are the same, right? Now, what does that mean? If I continued, right? I mean, if I continue to solve, right? The goal is to get m by itself on one side. I have m's on both sides, so I don't want it on both sides. I would get rid of one of them. This 5m, I would subtract 5m, and I would subtract 5m. And what would I have left? Negative 11 equals negative 11. And that right there is always true. Now remember, on an equation, you want to find the value that'll make it true. But this is true. Negative 11 equals negative 11. And there is no x's involved. So what does that mean? That I shouldn't have said x's, they're m's here. M's don't matter. The m's eliminated. There are no m's, and this is a true statement. So any m value will give you a true statement. M could be 1, m could equal 1, m could equal negative 5, m could equal 1,000, m could equal pi, m could equal negative 97 over 200. I don't know. It could be anything, right? It could be any number. So we're just going to say all real numbers, or all numbers, right? Whatever you want. X equals all numbers, or all real numbers, or you could even abbreviate. This is a symbol for all real numbers. But I believe we're going to have multiple choice, and it's just going to say all numbers. Okay? So that's number 3. Let's jump to number 5. Number 5 is another one with fractions. What are we going to multiply everything by? 4. Now here's a question. Do we want to distribute the 1/4, which is pretty easy, or do we want to get rid of it first?
Get rid of it first.
Okay, if you want to get rid of it first, you're going to have to multiply everything by 4, okay? Now, when I say everything, it could be kind of confusing. Check this out. I need to multiply the 1/4 by 4, but I am not going to multiply these values on the inside by 4. Why not? Because whatever I do to this outside guy, whatever I do to this outside value, technically, I'm going to end up distributing, which means that I'm doing it to the inside values as well. Does that make sense? Okay, so if I'm multiplying this guy by 4, you don't have to multiply these inside guys by 4. So it's kind of like if the parentheses protect these values from actually being multiplied by 4. Most of the time, yeah, we multiply every single item by 4, but right here we have parentheses, and whatever you do to this outside value, it's like if you did it to the insides because of the distributive property that exists. Anyway, I multiply by 4 on the left side, I multiply by 4 on the right side, and what happens, the 4's cancel out, I end up with a nice 1 times 3g minus 4 equals g. And of course, distributing a 1 is not going to change anything. So what do I have now? I have 3g minus 4 equals g. I need to get g by itself on one side. So what do? Okay, so you have g's on both sides. Let's get rid of one of them. I want to get rid of this g right here. So minus g. You could have gotten rid of the 3g if you wanted to. There's many roads to the same place. Right here we end up with 2g minus 4 equals nothing. There's nothing on the right side. But we still need to get g by itself on one side. So what do? Add 4 first to get rid of that minus 4. What you do to one side, you do to the other side to maintain the balance. Let me rewrite it up here. I have 2g left over on the left side of the equal sign, and 0 plus 4 is 4. So for my final step, what am I going to do? Divide by 2, divide by 2, g equals 2. Ladies and gentlemen, as you could see, these are multi-step problems. There's a lot of work going on right here, okay? You cannot afford to make any mistakes. Any little tiny mistake with the minus sign, or it's just going to mess everything up. So you guys got to be very careful. And of course, you could use calculators so you don't mess up with the addition or subtraction or multiplication. Let's go to number 7, which is on the next page. Number 7, we have some distributed property and combining like terms. That's what simplifying is all about. This is not a simple equation. It looks pretty complicated. So let's actually distribute 4 times d, that is 4d, 4 times negative 2, that's negative 8, bring down the minus 13. Out of these 3 terms, what could I combine?
Negative 8, negative 13.
Negative 8, negative 13, and we do this in our heads or on the calculator. If you owe 8 and you owe 13, you're going to owe 21, right? So I will have 4d minus 21. You still owe 21. The equal sign comes down. I've already simplified the left side. Now I need to simplify the right side. So I'm going to distribute 7 times d, that's 7 with the d. 7 times 4, that's 28. Bring down the plus 2. Out of those 3 terms, I could combine, the 28 plus 2. And what is 28 plus 2? 30. So I really have 7 with the d plus 30. So now I need to get the variable by itself on one side. So I have d's on both sides. I need to get rid of one of them. So I'm going to subtract the 7d. And you could have gotten rid of the 4 if you wanted to. I just chose to move the letter to the left. So I'm subtracting 7d. 4 take away 7. What's that? Negative 3 of that variable d. Minus 21 equals 30. Final 2 steps, what are they going to be? Let's get rid of that minus 21 by going plus 21. What you do to one side, you do to the other side, plus 21. We end up with negative 3d equals 51. Final step, what do?
You divide by negative 3.
Yep, divided by negative 3. And what's the answer? I don't know. Calculator. What is that? Negative 17. Thank you. So for sure, there's going to be lots of problems that you're not going to be able to just get off the top of your head. You're going to need a calculator to like divide 51 by negative 3. Let's move on. Number 9. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. These are like free points right here. I want to get v by itself. What do? I mean, you could have added 7, but that's a longer route, right? It's a longer road. What's quick and easy? Minus 19. Quick and easy, get rid of that 19. So you owe 7, you owe 19, you're going to owe 26. And what's left over? The v, and that's it. You're done. V equals negative 26.
Can you do all the questions like that?
Wait, can you do 10? It's negative 40.
Let's take a look at number 11. Number 11, we have fractions, a bunch of fractions. Samantha, what am I going to multiply everything by?
8.
That's right, 8. Go for that biggest denominator. Put an 8 right there, put an 8 up there, put an 8 up there. Notice that I put the 8s up on top because when you have the 8s up on top, in reality, it's the 8 divided by 2, right? What the top divided by the bottom. So 8 divided by 2, what is that? That's really a 4. And then we say, okay, 4 times 1 times y, that's just a 4y. And then we go over here, the 8 up on top and the 8 on the bottom, that's really a 8 divided by 8, that's 1. So that just cancels out. And what do I have left? I have a minus 1. Then I bring down the equal sign, and once again, 8 divided by 8 is 1. So what do I have left?
7.
7. There you go. So that nasty-looking equation became pretty easy after multiplying by that LCD of 8. So let's now get y by itself. How do I do that? Add 1. Add 1. 4y equals 8. What do I do next? Divide by 4. Divide by 4. Answer?
Y equals 2.
There you go. Y equals 2. Ta-da. So the first thing to do is to lose fear of those fractions. Why? Because you could get rid of any fraction you want. Just multiply everything by the denominator, all right? So don't be scared when you see fractions. Let's turn the page. Go to number 13. We have fractions. Okay, so I know a lot of us say, multiply everything by 4, right? And yeah, that works. But how about this? Let's go for the shorter path, right? Let's not choose the long road. What do I mean by long road? If you multiply 21 by 4, you're going to get a huge number. If you multiply 16 by 4, you're going to get a huge number. So what is a slightly easier thing to do? Get rid of that minus 21 by going plus 21. That'll cancel it out. And it makes the equation look smaller and nicer. Check it out. On the left side, all I have left is the minus 5/4 r. The equal sign comes down. And 21 take away 16, or negative 16 plus 21, that's 5, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So now, look at that. That's a really simple equation. So it's a lot easier now to multiply by 4 here and there. That way, you get a simple answer. The 4's cancel out. 4 divided by 4 cancels. We have a negative 5r equals 20. Final step. Divide by, and let's make it a negative 5. That way, the negative cancels out, and we have a nice, beautiful r. R equals negative 4. There's your answer. Now, I could have gotten rid of the fraction first, but I'd have to multiply by 4. It'd be a huge number here. Multiply by 4, huge number here. Then I'd have to move this huge number to this other side. It's just a lot easier to get rid of that minus 21 first. Let's go to number 15. Do the same thing. Now, what do you mean by that? Add 4? It'll make it easier to get rid of that 4 first before multiplying everything by 3. If you wanted to, you could, but it's easier to do this. You have y divided by 3 equals negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. Jahadri, what next? Multiply by 3, that's right. On both sides, good, thank you. Final answer will be y equals negative 6. Moving on to number 17. Oh, there's that word problem that we worked on yesterday. 3 consecutive integers. What does consecutive integers mean? Right next to each other, right? There's that joke, why was 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9, right? And those are all consecutive integers, right? 6, 7, 8, 9. Anyway, my point is this. Consecutive integers means numbers that are right next to each other, all right? So like 7, 8, 9 are consecutive. 15, 16, 17 are consecutive. Even like negative 8, negative 7, negative 6. Those are consecutive integers, right? They want 3 of these numbers that are right next to each other with a sum of 156. What does that mean? Sum means add, right? So if you wanted to, you could guess and check. You could pick any number and then find the next 2 numbers, add them all together, and see what gives you 156. So if you were guessing, maybe you'd say 50 plus 51 plus 52 and see if it gives you 156. It won't, but you'll be able to guess your answer. Now, that's not the way they want you to do it. What they want you to do is to create an equation. You see up here it says write an equation and solve it. So when we say 3 consecutive integers with a sum of 156, we don't know the first number, so we're going to call it x. But we're going to add it with the next number, and that next number will be x, but with 1 more. And then we're going to add that number with the next number, which is going to be x but with 2 more. Those are 3 consecutive integers, right? Whatever this is, if it's a 7, then this is going to be 7 plus 1, which is going to be 8. This is going to be a 7 plus 2, which is going to be 9. 7, 8, 9. 3 consecutive numbers. Or 50 plus 50 plus 1, 51, plus 50 plus 2, 52. 50, 51, 52. Those are consecutive numbers. So this is the setup when you're summing 3 consecutive numbers, when you're finding the sum of 3 consecutive numbers. And we know that the answer of that sum should be 156. So this is really your equation that requires combining like terms. X plus X plus X. What's that? 3 X's. And how about 1 plus 2? That's 3. And of course, it's equal to 156. So then what? How do I solve this? Minus 3, minus 3. We're going to end up with 3x equaling 153. Now, final step would be to get rid of that multiplication of 3 in front of the x by dividing by 3 and dividing by 3. We get 51. So if you don't know, get it with the calculator. X equals 51. Now, they're asking for 3 consecutive integers. So if your first one right here is 51, what are the next 2? 51, 52, and 53. So there's your actual answer. If you check the back, that's what they show, 51, 52, 53. And you could always double check it by adding them together and seeing if it actually does give you 156, which it does. Moving on to number 19. Translate. So right here it just says translate. You don't have to solve. I like these. All you got to do is understand the words, write the equation, and you're done. All right, so what does sum mean? Add. Okay, so we're going to be adding some stuff. Now, normally, like if I said, what's the sum of 3 and 5? You're going to just put 3 plus 5, right? So what we need to do is identify what we're going to be adding. So the sum of 5 times h, that's one thing we're going to be adding, and twice g, that's another thing we're going to be adding. So 5h with a 2g. Twice g means 2 times g. And of course the is equal to, and 23 is your answer. So there's your equation. We don't even have to solve it because it doesn't say solve, it just says translate. We're done. Ladies and gentlemen, we've done all the odd ones. I want you to take the rest of this class period and at home to work on the even ones. And if you're stuck at home with the even ones, watch the video that I upload to Edmodo. By the way, there's going to be an Edmodo check-in tonight. It's Thursday, big test tomorrow. I'm going to make it worth twice the points as it's usually, all right? So if you haven't been signing in the past, I want to make it worth twice the points this time. So sign in tonight so you could bring that grade up. It'll help you out.